Today's lesson is on adding mixed numbers with regrouping. Here we have a problem, 1 3/4 plus 2 1/2. Let's start with a diagram. First, I'm going to show 1 3/4. One whole and 3 more of the next whole shows 1 3/4. Then I have 2 1/2. There's one whole, 2 wholes, and 1/2. Now in order to add these together, we have to have the same size pieces. I can add the whole numbers, and I see I have 1 plus 2 equals 3, but I can't add the fractions because they're not the same size pieces. So I need to change the fractions. I know I can find a common denominator for 3/4 and 1/2. Oops. And I see that that common denominator is 4. So I can actually just switch this circle into fourths. If I do that, there we have fourths, and that's 2/4. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/4. Now, looking at that answer, it is a mixed number, but it has an improper fraction. If I were to take part of these and break them apart, I could make this part move into there, and now I have another whole. So let me color this in red and erase that little part of blue. And so I see that I can change this 5/4 to 1 and 1/4. Now I have to remember to add the 3 wholes on, so my final answer is 4 and 1/4. So today we're going to focus on when we add the fractions together, we end up with an improper fraction, which is actually more than a whole. We need to change that back into a whole number, or excuse me, a mixed number, and add it to the whole number we have. Let's do the math without a picture. We know that when we add or subtract fractions, they must have a common denominator. Looking at this problem, I see we have a 4 and a 2 in our denominators. We need to change those. So we think 4, whoops, let me write that again. We have 4 and 2, and our least common multiple for that is 4. So I could just change them to fourths. I'm going to make an equal sign because they will be equal. Bring my whole number over. That's very important. And I see that I don't have to change the first fraction because it's already in fourths. However, the second one, I'm going to have to multiply the denominator by 2 to get 4. So I multiply the numerator by 2 to get 4. Now I'm ready to add. I'm going to ignore the first fraction because it's not with common denominators. So let's add the whole numbers and the fractions. Again, it doesn't matter which one you add first because you're going to have to do something in the end anyway. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3/4 plus 2/4. I have 5 parts, and they're all in fourths. So I see I have 3 and 5/4. As from the last picture, when I saw that I had more than a whole, I can take the 5/4, and if you need to, change it from an improper fraction to a mixed number on the side. 4 goes into 5 once, with 1 left over. Remember, our whole number is on the top. So I'm going to draw an arrow down here, and I'm going to say this is 1. If you need to, draw around so you can figure out the fraction. I have 1 part left out of 4. So now I'm going to add the 3 to that to get 4 and 1/4. Here are the steps to actually change them. You can pause the video and write down this example, and then we'll do it together. Then I have a few more examples for you to try. The first step is to organize and to figure out what the common denominator is. And that's actually step number 2 also. The third step is to add fractions. The fourth is change your fraction to a mixed number. And the 5 is to carry the whole number and write the fraction. In other words, add that whole number on. And the last thing is to ask, is it in simplest form? So I see that we have a fraction with the denominators of 6 and 4. And I know if I do the 6 and 4, 6, 12 times 3 is 18. 4, 8, 12. There's my common denominator of 12. So I'm going to bring the whole number over and change these to 12ths. Very similar to what we've been doing. 6 times 2 is 12. 5 times 2 is 10. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. So when I add it together, 1 plus 1 is 2. 10 plus 9 is 19 twelfths. Do you see anything different? 19 twelfths is an improper fraction. So I can divide it. If you can do this part in your head, that's fine. It's going to get easier as you practice more. 12 into 19 goes once, with 7 left over. So this is 1 and 7 twelfths. Bring the 2 down, and our final answer is 3 and 7 twelfths. Then you have to ask, is 7 twelfths in simplest form? 7 is prime. 7 does not go into 12 evenly. So yes, it is in simplest form. Here's another example. Go ahead and try this one, pause the video, and then I'll give you the answer. And then I have 2 more examples for you to check. Okay, our common denominator for 7 and 2 is 14. Seven times 2 is 14, and 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 7 is 14, and 1 times 7 is 7. We add them up. We get 4 and 15 fourteenths. Again, we can do it on the side. Remember, that's our whole number. 15 fourteenths is 1 and 1 14th, plus the 4 to get a final answer of 5 and 1 14th. I kind of ran out of room. Here's 2 problems I'd like you to try on your own. Here's the first one, 2 and 4/5 plus 1 and 2/4. There's one more problem, 2 and 2/3 plus 1 and 2/4. Bring both of these back to class and remember to write down any concerns or questions that you have. Have a great day.